right, 7th graders, we have a few notes on Objective 2 before we dive into that practice. So we're going to be looking at some inequalities, and solving an inequality is just like solving an equation. Same steps. So let's look at an equation to refresh our memory, and then we will look at an inequality. Okay, if I have an equation like this, we need to get x by itself. The point is we're trying to solve for x. So we get rid of any term that does not have an x first. So 2 has an x, but 1 does not have an x. So we're going to get rid of that 1 first by doing the opposite. The opposite of adding 1 is subtracting 1, because that's going to equal 0. That's going to go away. What you do to one side, you do to the other side. So we subtract 1. We're left with 2x equal to 4. Now we need to get rid of that 2. So remember, when a number is right next to a variable or a letter, that means multiplication. So the opposite of that would be dividing. We're going to divide by 2. What you do to one side, you do to the other side. Divide by 2, and x equals 2. Okay? Solving an inequality is going to be the exact same way. Let's say this is less than 5. Instead, we would still subtract 1, 2x is less than 4, divide by 2, x is less than 2. Okay, so same process to get the answers, except when you are multiplying or dividing by a negative, then you have to flip your inequality around. Okay, then it changes some things. So let's say it was a negative 2x plus 1 is less than 5. Okay, so we would still subtract 1, do that on both sides to give us negative 2x is less than 4. But now, when we divide to get x by itself, we're going to divide by negative 2. What you do to one side, you do to the other side. When we divide by a negative like that, then we actually have to flip this inequality around. So it's going to go from less than to greater than, and our answer is negative 2. Okay, so whenever you're multiplying or dividing by a negative, it's going to flip. Okay, an example of where you would multiply by a negative, let's say we have x divided by negative 4 is greater than or equal to 2. To get x by itself here, we have to do the opposite of dividing. So we have to multiply by a negative 4 over 1. Those cancel, leaving us with just x. What you do to one side, you do to the other side. So we multiply by a negative 4. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Since we were multiplying by a negative, we have to flip that inequality around. It becomes less than or equal to. So our answer would be less than or equal to negative 8. So the key, remember, when you're multiplying or dividing by a negative, you have to flip that inequality around. Okay? And then when you're graphing these answers, if we were to graph this one, x is greater than negative 2, that would give us an open circle. If you have greater than or less than, your circles are always going to be open. Okay, so if I was going to graph this one, I would draw a quick number line, put 2 on there. Oh, it's actually negative 2. Put negative 2 on there. We're going to have an open circle at negative 2, and we want numbers that are bigger than negative 2. The open mouth is going to the x. We want numbers bigger than negative 2, so our arrow would go over to the right. Okay? If I was going to graph this one over here, if it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, that's a closed circle. Okay, so I would draw a quick number line, put negative 8 on my number line. Since it's less than or equal to, it would be a closed circle, and I want numbers that are smaller than or equal to negative 8. So I would draw an arrow to the right where numbers are smaller than or equal to negative 8. Okay? So greater than, less than, open circle, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, closed circle. When it's equal to, it's including the number that we're at in the solution. When it's just greater than or less than, it's not including the number we actually solved for in the solution. Okay? All right, that's all the notes on Objective 2. On to examples.